nation. Rise up and unite. Woo! Rise up.
Evening, everyone, and welcome to the Layover live Christmas party. I'm joined by my favourite twosome, Prancer and Dancer. Good evening. How are you?
We're on. Cheers.
Hey, cheers. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. What's that you're drinking?
Gin. A very... Yeah, it's an adult beverage. There's no doubt about it. It's about a quadruple gin, orange, cinnamon... What have we got? What else is in there?
Juniper.
Juniper, of course.
Juniper.
Extra large ice cubes.
How very middle class. Lyndsay, you're not plugged into the mains there, I hope.
I am mains connected tonight.
Oh, get you. That's, you know, this is going to end in disaster, don't you?
So if I have to vacate the room quickly, Mark needs to unplug me before we go.
Oh, goodness. Mark, unplugging from you is something, it's a bit niche, and I don't think we should be discussing on this programme. Right.
I might get the CO2 fire extinguisher out on you.
How have you been this week, though? It's been really cool. I've been watching your Twitter feeds, and Lyndsay, yours actually made me sick. Do you know why?
Yeah, I did think about you, actually.
I saw you tweet this, right? And I really thought, what the hell is she tagging me in that for? And then
so I know that you love a good boat, don't you, Scott?
Yes. Boats and me, no. Sea and me, no. And then I watched the video, and this is the video. Even the sailor on that was screaming because he thought he was going to die. Watching it, I'm just now, it's even making me feel queasy now. It's really, really not good. So thanks for that. I don't know. Well, maybe we'll ask the ship. Well, maybe ask Clinky, get him out of the green room now just to annoy him. Oh, Clinky, you're on. No, you're not on. Yeah, okay, bye. He wasn't quite ready for us, was he? He wasn't quite ready. We'll catch him again in a minute. I've actually got a question to ask Clinky later. And Clinky, I know you can hear us, so please remind me to ask the question about the wings, because I must ask that question later. What else have you been up to?
I've had a week of not doing very much. I've been on leave, which has been wonderful. But I did pop down to where did I go? The Brooklyn Museum.
I saw these. These were awesome.
So my lad's doing his EPQ in supersonic travel. We knew the tier restrictions were changing. Had a look at the website, and it looked like the museum was shutting on Saturday. It's amazing. It's had loads of lottery money invested. The hangar that the Wellington is in is called the Aircraft Factory. It's a really brilliant exhibit and like really engaging for young people in particular, people of all ages, to be honest. The Wellington was pointed out of Loch Ness a long while ago. But yeah, it was amazing. And the staff there were lovely. It was incredibly quiet. You know, I'm worried that these places are going to find it really difficult to survive. That's GVTOL, so that's John Farley's old aeroplane.
Yeah, amazing aeroplane, isn't it? I mean, I know you've got a couple of photos of it, but it's stunning. And then of course, this.
That was what we were there to look at and take photos for the project. But yeah, BBDG, which is the only Concorde that was ever production spec, I think, or as close as possible to production spec, that never flew as an airliner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just filling up my gin and tonic with some more tonic. I didn't know that. Really didn't know that. You mentioned Harrier, and as you know, we'll just share in a minute that I had a slight panic just before the show came on that we were we went for a last minute Harrier pick, and we'll talk about this later. But this is awesome.
Wow.
A really cool picture, from Jamie Hunter. Jamie emailed it to me just about 20 milliseconds before we went live, and I lost the entire deck for this evening. But an amazing picture, We can talk about it later, but it links into your... In fact, I don't think there's any... These are all real Harriers, the kind that the Air Force fly, not the rubbish that the Navy flies. But we can cover that. We can cover that later. I'm sure Clinky might want to bring that kind of thing up.
Real Harriers. That's 60. That's impressive. Just to get that many airplanes together in a formation. 16. That would be really interesting to find out about how that happens. I think people don't realise how difficult it is to get a big formation together.
I know, and I don't know whether it's Lyndsay's lights or she keeps touching the microphone. But every time she comes close to the microphone, there's like a feedback loop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you might. Absolutely electric this evening, my dear. Absolutely electric. We're going to start off tonight. I think that's about it, isn't it? Really, catch up wise. Don't really. I mean, what else have we been up to this week? Anything?
What have you been up to?
Well, the dog's just had too many walks this week because Mark's been off.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's fair because he doesn't want to be in the house.
That's been pretty much it.
He's doing something unmentionable to his bed at the moment.
Ooh, sweet work. I tell you what I've had done. I tell you what I've had done at Layover headquarters. I know it's really challenging for us to answer the door whilst we're also in here. So what I've had done is I've had one of those Ring doorbells fitted. So every time a guest rings the doorbell tonight, we're going to be able to see outside HQ. Watch this. Look. I can do it by remote on my phone. Watch. Hello.
Set the dog off.
I can see that this is going to be a lot of fun for me tonight. Every time I've got the doorbell dog remote control button. It'll be brilliant.
Well done, Scott. You sabotaged the show.
It's been really cool. The guests are going to be arriving soon, actually. Oh, it was John at the door, but actually, there he is. There he is, John. Welcome.
I've been a bit busy, so
you've been a bit busy. Oh, in fact, you've got the other part of the elf outfit that I've been wearing. Yeah, my ears look smaller in this one.
Yeah, mine look bigger. Don't worry, I could do with that hat actually.
John,
cheers, John.
Merry Christmas.
Cheers. I've got a kind of girly glass, if I can say that, with my gin and tonic, but it's got Edinburgh gin on it, so I'm quite happy with that.
So, John, cheers, everyone. You've come on to tell us about what's going to happen next year, John. What's the big things? What's the next big thing that we need to be looking for in the Av Geek world for next year?
Well, I think the question is where to start. I have to say I'm really excited today because I had my first 2 flights yesterday in 9 months. So I'm still on a bit of a high from a full 2 1-hour flights to Edinburgh, one up and one back yesterday. So I'm really buzzing still from that. And I think that's kind of where to start for 2021. I think, the return to normality in the commercial aviation field is probably one of the big issues for the year ahead. I think it'd be interesting what you guys think. But I think we kind of saw the coming of the vaccine, the easing of border restrictions in Europe, and kind of businesses like the one I'm in start to think about travel again. But now, of course, in the past 48 hours, 24 hours, we've been hit by this latest issue. And it kind of, for me, it's how does the airline industry move to get passengers confident about traveling? And I think my experience yesterday, reason for mentioning the flights, was all positive. As a passenger on board, lots of helping comments from the cabin crew and from the guys up front about cleaning the aircraft, wearing masks, and all the precautions that have been taken on board. I think that's great, but what I saw in the airport wasn't quite the same, and I saw a kind of fairly relaxed approach in Terminal 5 itself. And I think there's going to have to be a joint coming together of thinking between the airlines and the airport operators to kind of bring passenger confidence back. Does that mean testing paid for by airlines, airports, or by passengers? How is that going to be paid for? Do you have to have vaccinations, as Qantas is saying you'll have to do for long-haul flights? Is that workable? I personally don't think it is. And then kind of how is that going to roll over to an impact on the manufacturers, Boeing and Airbus, who I think are both going to have to, looking forward in 21, think about how they protect their cash cow, which is commercial aviation, and what that means to the shape of their business in other areas. But I don't know what you guys think about, from working in the airline industry, how you see things from an operational perspective.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think a huge amount of that has already been done. The difference between what's happened sort of in the last 24 hours
Oh, my camera.
and what happened back in sort of February, March was that it was a massive shock. And of course, whilst this is massively disappointing and everybody's super upset about Christmas and so on, I think this is a lot less surprising. So kind of people are more in the swing of it. But I agree with you. I think they'll particularly as the industry gets going again, I think it will fall into its groove a bit more, and I think a few things will kind of normalize and so on. But yeah, hopefully that will be soon because it's tough. It's tough to run a business when there's no cash coming through the door. It doesn't matter whether you're an airline or a hairdressers or a restaurant or a whatever.
Yeah. I'd say it was surprising.
I'm really sorry. Somebody else at the door. I'm going to go and have to get the door. I'll be back in a minute, everyone.
Yeah, the flights yesterday were surprisingly full. I know it's the start of Christmas holidays, but they were probably about 60% full both ways, so that was good to see. I think one other thing from a passenger's perspective, Mark, and I don't know how the airlines will work this from a cost perspective, but how long do you keep the middle seats free, or do you then start to say, okay, well, you can pay a little bit extra to have the middle seat next to you free? Is that a way of bringing confidence back? I don't know, but I was really very pleasantly surprised by my experience yesterday, I have to say, and I hope that's a good step forward. From a manufacturer's point of view, I guess the big challenges for the two commercial manufacturers that we all immediately think of, Airbus and Boeing, is how. For Boeing, 737 MAX just starting to come back in. They've got about 4,000 back orders. Will airlines keep their confidence in that product? I think passengers, 95% of them won't actually know what aircraft they're in or care anyway, providing the price they paid for the ticket is right. But will airlines keep confidence in Boeing because it's got problems in other areas too right now? And how easy will it be to change their allegiance, because Airbus has got a huge back order for the 320 series. It's got the 350 kind of trying to come in there and make an impression on long haul, even allowing people like Scotty to be in the front end there. But you're seeing challenges with the 78 and the 777X. So what's going to happen there? And I think both manufacturers are going to have to shore up. Airbus has lost the 380, 330 Neo is not selling particularly wonderfully well, although they've expected to pick up. So I think both manufacturers will look to sell parts of their business that are seen as non-core. That maybe defense, maybe space, or maybe shareholdings in other businesses. But it will be interesting to see how that moves forward.
Yeah. Really fascinating. And I think what's going to happen is this, like a big kind of change of seasons in the airline fleet. I think a lot of really old airplanes are going to go, or older airplanes are going to go. They're just going to disappear. They already have. I think the 737 MAX, I reckon we can do a whole program on the 737 MAX and what that means for Boeing, and what was going on at Boeing when you start to read these, congressional documents and stuff that's going on. And I do not believe, and with no particular allegiance anywhere actually, but I don't believe that people set out to do a bad job, and that doesn't happen. Yeah. I suspect they were trying to get the best product for their company that they could get, and nobody kind of foresaw where they would end up. But it's not looking good. However, I think you're right. I think in a couple of years, it will be a proven airframe, and I think people will have forgotten about the MAX. If I'm really honest, that is what I think.
I think so as well. And just I was at the door, and just to let you know, it was Jimmy Hunter at the door. Jamie's come along this evening to show us some
Good as
cool
mine.
photos later. Oh goodness, you both coordinated as well. Oh bloody hell!
Good evening. Hello.
Hi Jamie, how are you?
Good, thanks. Yeah, how are we all doing?
Really good. Gin and tonic in hand, or what have you got?
No, it's a Guinness in hand, to be honest with you. I thought I'd go just a little bit more sensible, not go in too strong from the start.
No, that's true. It's the kind of lightweight drink that the Navy might drink as well, I think. So we'd have to be very careful that, for later, just in case anybody from the Navy pops up. Not saying the word, but the only person who's had any comments so far on all of this stream is actually somebody said hello to the dog. So that actually shows how well we're doing.
It's great to have we made such a great impression on people.
Yeah, not judging. John, I mean, what else can you tell us? I mean, is it going to be? I mean, I know Paris has been cancelled. What can we look forward to air show wise next year? Do you think?
Yeah, who knows? So Paris is gone, not to be replaced by a virtual show as Farnborough tried to do. So a Danish air show is being cancelled in June already. I think we're starting to see things slip into the third quarter, which is, for all of us involved in that side of things, is a bit of a shame. Whether the International Air to 2 proceeds or not, I don't know. Jimmy might have a thought on this, but they've still got a month or so because it's at a military airfield. It doesn't have the same infrastructure requirements as Paris did. It's whether they can get the insurances sorted out, particularly if vaccination hasn't rolled out too quickly. That would protect them if anything went wrong, because clearly it's a charity that organises it. It took a fairly big hit this year, and whether it can take the same kind of hit next year or not, I don't know. And the other thing to watch out for in defence, and Jamie will probably have a view on this as well because we've talked about it, it's kind of the tale of the two future combat air systems here in Europe. US is doing its thing, and most of the big manufacturers there are involved. But in Europe, we've currently got 2 future combat air systems. One called Tempest in the UK, which is a UK BAE Systems Rolls-Royce led with Italy and Saab contributing program to develop a kind of next generation Typhoon 6th gen type program. The French have got their own with the Germans and the Spanish. Far more government support for that one. And in the UK, we've got an integrated defence review. So does that provide the next stage of funding to take Team Tempest forward? I don't know. And I think that's going to be one of the things to watch from a UK point of view too. And then talking about the integrated review, where does that leave the F-35 program of record? Does it stay with 138? Does it stick with 48, which is the current order, which isn't enough to kind of keep 2 carriers at sea at the same time? Do we see Puma helicopter disappear, as is rumoured, along with Sentinel, as is rumoured, and perhaps a cut in C-17, even A400M numbers and C-130 numbers? I mean, all that's going to become known probably in the late January, early February timeframe. Jamie's keeping a close eye on it too, so it'd be interesting in your thoughts, buddy.
Right. So before Jamie makes a word, I've actually got something I want to share, because we mentioned Paris earlier. And I know there's somebody who's actually just about to come to the door. Look at this picture. So you and Ugly Muggly Steve here, both of you. I took this picture. In fact, no, Steve might have taken it as a selfie, or it might have been me. I don't know. But we went flying in the LM100J at Paris a couple of years ago, which was absolutely awesome. And I'm going to bring Steve in now. Hello, Steve. Good evening. How are you?
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Amazing.
I'm dressed as a polar bear. It was all I could do for the holidays.
And it's daylight.
Yeah.
Where are you?
I actually left the UK 2 weeks ago, and I'm in the States, and we've had 2 feet of snow, and it's snowing again now. So it's been backbreaking shoveling out, That's all right.
Wow.
I was listening to John earlier talking about commercial, and I have to say, having flown, for the last 25 years, 100 so times a year. This year I've been grounded. I've only flown 8, but I had a great experience coming from the UK to the States. I thought the crews were great. I thought that the people at the front end were great. But I agree. I think in the airports was a bit of a challenge.
Sad, isn't it? I'm going to move to Jamie now, just very quickly, because I can see that there's a couple of cars pulled up outside now. So, Jamie, you sent me a picture earlier.
I did.
of a friend of ours who used to fly. What was that thing with the 2 engines and the swing wings? You know the one.
Well, the Mighty Finn.
Was it? Is that what was it called? I can't remember, but it was a really cool. It was a really cool picture. In fact, she's in the green room now, making very, very rude gestures at both of us.
That was from 19 years ago.
19 years ago. Here we are. Look at this, Mandy. Oh my goodness.
She looks so young.
Look, she's having to get somebody to put her specs on. Oh my goodness, Mandy, you look so young there. Well, you look young anyway, my dear, but you look so young. In fact, let's get rid of that. She's hanging around with her elf ears on. Let's get her in. Mandy, good evening. How are you?
Hey guys, how are you all?
Hey, man.
We're all fine.
Jamie, you've got a lot to answer for that picture. I've never seen that before.
Oh, there you go. Coming your way.
Send it to me. Send it to me.
That was
How guys?
How are you all? Oh. For goodness sake, I've got to go and answer the door. I'll be back in a minute.
Jamie, where was that picture? And what's the sort of backstory? Andy, can you remember it? I guess Jamie first.
I will tell you exactly what that was in 2001. That was on 2 Squadron at Marham, and it was the same day as I had my first ever flight in a tornado.
You are lucky. You were a lucky boy, Jamie. Can I just say, mate, I'm going to have to take that off because I haven't realised quite how awful I was looking. But I've borrowed my friend's glasses. And I just
it doesn't work that way.
Distance. Look, I'm in a socially distanced tent outside, and it's really cold.
You're in a tent.
I'm in a tent outside, but look at my lovely Christmas decor.
Greenham
Is this about the first Air Force officer to be in a tent?
I'm in a tent. It's freezing, and hence I'm in my friend's googly glasses, which look massive. I haven't quite sort of imagined that one. But Jamie, you have gone from strength to strength. I have loved watching some of your photos. I mean, God, some of the detachments that you go on these days is unbelievable.
Thank you. And it all started. My first one, I flew in a Hawk in 2000, but 2001, that flight with 2 Squadron, that was my first kind of real frontline fast jet sortie. And I'll never forget it. It was amazing.
Well,
and how do you get in? How do you sort of knock on the door of the Ministry of Defence with a camera and say, any chance I go flying?
Tenacity would be the word I would use for me. Tenacity. Very, very difficult these days. Back then it was a little bit easier. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to take photojournalism, talk about promoting air power and that kind of thing. And that's kind of where it came from for me. I had some people who inspired me to be able to go and do that sort of thing. But yeah, very lucky, and some people who were willing to back me and let me go and do a bit of that stuff. So, and it's just today, it's just about being there and done it, really. So I'm very lucky.
So a bit of luck, bit of tenacity, and plenty of hard work, those kinds of things.
Yes,
but yeah,
I go along with that. Yeah, and doing the right thing and going and making sure you give something back, making sure you toe the line, you do the right thing, you conduct yourself in the right way, and you do it the right way. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Jamie, Mandy's mentioned it, and I can't go without having some of your cool photos come up because you've given us some really ace ones to share. So I'm going to start off and excuse me because I've had to clip these to get them to go into the deck. So it's not exactly.
Everyone knows that this is not how I crop photos.
This is not how you, and that's why I'm making the point. This is not how you crop photos. But I just got to say, we had to crop them a little to get them into the deck. But just before I get someone else who I've just answered the door, I've told him to wait outside for a minute because he gets really excited when he gets around F-35 and stuff. So I just wanted to have the F-35 photos first. How did you get this? It's freaking awesome. Look at that.
Thank you. That was during an exercise called Atlantic Trident out of Langley Air Force Base, or Joint Base Langley Eustis in the States. I was in a T-38 Talon, and a lot of briefing, a lot of very careful briefing, but the chance to bring together a Typhoon, Rafale, F-35 and F-22 was a chance not to be missed. So And actually, we did the shots on the way out to the exercise area, so they were actually going to go and fly a live mission as well. So had a small window. So for me, it's all about planning, briefing it very quickly, and making sure it works very quickly, very safely, and runs on rails. So yeah, that's me basically looking back over my left shoulder and getting the shot. And actually, we did it twice. We had 2 goes at that, and yeah, I'm very proud of that shot.
So you took this over your shoulder. You weren't even looking in the right direction. Mark was screwed.
Yeah.
I can even demonstrate. Actually, I've got a camera here as well.
I like the way that our French colleague's not moving.
I was going to bring the Navy guy in, but he's got a book up, which I'm not going to doubt. I'm definitely not going to. No, I am going to bring him in.
But if it's my book, it's fine.
Look, it's the How to Fly a Sea Harrier.
It's fine.
By Jamie. Yeah, no.
Oh, hello.
Frankie, hello. How are you?
I was just reading this. You know, if anyone's got any late Christmas presents they need to buy,
By
thoroughly
Mandy's
recommended.
In fact, Mandy's
What is-
disappeared.
I recommend this one.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a good book too.
What's the title of Jamie's book?
This Jamie's book is originally entitled
ER9.
Sea Harrier.
ER9.
Did you
Okay.
take this
Sea
one,
Harrier, the
Jamie?
last all British fighter.
There we go. That wasn't you
Okay.
either. There we go.
Stop,
Hello, everyone.
Stop the plugs. Good evening. How are you?
I'm very well. Very well. Good evening, all. Good evening, Jamie. Hello, John.
Oh, it's very reserved, isn't it? It's quite formal, that one.
Well, Mandy's not back on yet. I don't know where she's gone. Back into her tent.
I think she's probably having issues. Now, one of us is having microphone issues, and I don't know who it is, but we'll have to sort that out in a minute because I can hear it feeding back. But I've got a question that I was going to ask Clinky last week when he was on the Layover Live, and I didn't get a chance to answer it. So it's absolutely self-indulgence now, and it's not about airplanes, but it's about this. Now, it's not about not seeing you. It's actually about this. So
Yeah. Look at that guy.
yeah, I don't know who he is, but he's Captain Lightning, some sort of superhero, as you know. I've got a question about your wings. Now, it's always bothered me this. Now, the Air Force and the Army wear the wings, obviously, on the left breast. Why did the Navy wear them on the left arm above their sort of ranky thing?
Well, because we're Navy and we're cooler. It's because the Navy's obviously built on surface warfare ship drivers. So if you had any sort of specialization, you used to wear that on your sleeve. But the Navy's wings are albatross wings as well, not eagle wings like the Air Force. But no, they've always been on the sleeve, and we have always walked away from the temptation to sew them onto our jumpers as well, so that wherever you walk, everyone knows you're a pilot, like the Air Force. Seemingly, you always have to do.
Yeah, but you're a Harrier pilot. Everybody gets told that by you anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think the only person, the only guy I saw wearing Navy pilot I saw wearing wings on his jumper was the first AOC3 group, Admiral Henderson, who was working at Air Command, who decided it would be a swimmingly good idea to start following the RAF tradition of sewing his wings on his jumper. Wow. And I think that didn't last very long. They go on your sleeve. That's where they should always be.
Oh.
So if you've got, I don't know, if you're good at submarines or something, do you have a thing above your rank insignia on your sleeve?
Well, see, that's where this story starts to go slightly awry, because submariners wear their dolphins up here.
Yeah, well, that was what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think divers wear something on their sleeve instead of up here. So it's it's tradition. And
for God's sake, sorry, I've got to go later.
Sorry, you were saying divers.
Divers wear a diving helmet sometimes on their sleeve as well. So it's steeped in tradition. That sort of helmet. That is the international sign for diving.
I've come back now because somebody mentioned helmets.
And there you are.
Yeah, is this by magic? Before we start asking this question of Jamie, I just want to say we were talking about sewing wings on earlier, and here we are. We've got the person who sews wings onto his jumpsuit. It's Fraser. Hello, Fraser. How are you? In fact,
that is the most tenuous link I think I've ever seen. Well done.
I heard it and I thought, oh God, I've got to get Fraser in. This is you've actually got the wings sewn to your jumpsuits behind you as well this evening.
I have. Well, this is the one room I'm allowed to hang them up. So there's actually 6 in here around various surfaces. But this is my little man cave, which is full of skydiving gear. So yeah, I'm allowed that. It's
everyone. I don't know if you know Fraser. Fraser has the amazing accolade of being the fastest human without mechanical means.
Yep,
amazing.
Yeah, which is utterly amazing. 249 miles an hour, I believe.
Yeah, 256. But basically, they refuse to take the upper limits. They take the lower limit on the GPS. So yeah, I want to go over 250, but 249 that'll do. It's quite funny because frustrated Harrier pilot, really. So I actually went for Fleet Air Arm originally. And
good man.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I was colourblind. So they said you can be a WEO, and I said no thanks. But that was another story.
Talking about WEO, John's back from his wee. Hello, John. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Had to refill the glass,
So I'd just like to draw this out from Fraser. So his colour vision wasn't good enough to be a pilot. So they said, why don't you go and do bomb disposal instead?
Yeah, I mean, it was the NATO wires test basically. So 18 NATO wires, and as long as I could match them, they were happy. So it was all good. But,
absolutely.
Yeah, I've remained in aviation defence ever since. So I sit behind the scenes, making sure things don't actually go the way they shouldn't go. So yeah. Spitfires, Hurricanes, you name it, been involved.
Brilliant.
I know you've been dying to ask this question, Mark, so you might as well ask it of Jamie now for Pilot Husky.
Yeah, like literally if I try and take a photo out of a window, all I get is reflection. So how the hell in a 1968 T38, whatever you were in, can you get all that sharpness and all that clarity? I mean, it can't just be a polarizing filter, can it?
No, I don't shoot with any filters on at all, actually. If you're shooting down sun, though, you don't tend to get much reflection. If you're shooting into the sun, the light's reflecting on you here, and you get more reflection on the canopy. It's just a case of looking. And actually, it's not just reflection. There's canopies that have lots of scratches, or they can be misty. And actually, you have a good look at it beforehand. And then if there's any things that you think are going to reflect, so I'll close the canopy and sit in before we even go and get dressed to go and fly. And actually, I flew a sortie in September when we actually used a black marker pen to colour out some white bits that were reflecting. So just a bit of prep goes into it. But yeah, it's usually looking, because you can see the reflections when you're taking the shots. But it tends to, if you get the sun angle right, there aren't many reflections in the canopy. There's some jets that reflect more than others. So, but it's just
basically I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn it.
But no, it's just looking, really. Just looking.
Well,
some people come with a black cloth. Some people have a black cloth they put over the, and I do have a black cloth I can use as well, if really necessary. And I have taken shots where I've been cupping the lens against the canopy to get rid of the reflection.
Wow. Okay. I was expecting some very, very high tech.
There's some lens. Some people have got lens hoods, but to go and shoot a really oblique angle back over my shoulder, that's just not going to work, and it just gets in the way. So
yeah, because that's the thing that comes out in your pictures is they're very dynamic. They're a still, but they give a sense of movement,
and that's the exact shot I was talking about with the pen. That exact shoot. Yes.
It's a shame you didn't get the other wingtip in there.
I know, it's got beginner's error.
Sorry, this is how it crops it on this. I'm really, really sorry. You do have the wingtips and everything in it, but actually I didn't fancy this airplane at all. So I thought it would be far more dynamic if I just cut that wing off and let him crack on.
I love that, Jeff.
What are we looking at?
We're looking at a Saab Gripen E, which is the latest version of the Gripen. It's currently going through. There's about 7 flying at the moment. So it's going through flight testing. Swedish Air Force has bought it. The Brazilian Air Force has also purchased the Gripen E. It's a pretty phenomenal aeroplane, actually. It's got a lot going for it. A lot of very sophisticated architecture, so avionics architecture under the skin. So yeah, very, very, very impressive aeroplane.
Yeah, unfortunately, nobody's buying it, so we'll get rid of that because nobody's buying that one. They're all buying the other one.
I helped sell it twice.
So let's not even go there.
Product.
I tell you what, the kid in me has just laughed because in the last 5 minutes, somebody mentioned Mark's baubles and Jamie mentioned cupping. So we're just going to move on from that.
Please do.
Wow.
Let's move on. Now,
quickly.
Mandy is back. Mandy is back with us. Hello, Mandy.
I'm sorry, I've had internet issues. Children have been disconnecting power sources, let's just say. So
we had to disconnect Lyndsay because Lyndsay's flashing lights were interfering with the microphone, which is so sad because she had such an amazing jersey going on there. But since everybody's here, we've got a quiz.
Yay! I just want to say I'm really bad at quizzes.
I hope you're really good at quizzes.
Bad.
Lyndsay has done us a bit of a quiz, and I'm really looking forward to this. Lyndsay, are we going to be starting with the picture round?
No, we're going to start with who am I? So this round's got 5 questions. That's all. So pens and papers at the ready.
And it's an aeroplane. Who am I?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. Right. I'm ready.
You know I'm not Recce good. You know I'm not.
No.
So I'm going to give you 4 clues, and from those 4 clues, you have to name the aircraft, and then we'll do the answers at the end.
I'm just looking to see who's looking most competitive. Fraser's looking fairly competitive, quietly confident. Harry Pilot.
I haven't been sitting at the end of any aprons recently.
Jimmy's even put his glasses on. He's proper competitive. Right, let's go. Lyndsay, bring it on.
Okay, question number 1. I came into service in 1956. My wings must be stalled for landing. I was designed by Kelly Johnson, and I cruise at 70,000 feet.
John Nielsen, this is one for you, old son.
I'll be disappointed if you don't get
I think I might have that one.
Okay.
His name Kelly Johnson came out.
Aircraft number 2. I was in service from 1945 until 1946. I was named after the pilot's mother. I now feature at the National Air and Space Museum, and I carried Little Boy.
Scott's looking confident.
He's nailed it.
Yeah, I've got 2.
Okay, question number 3. 20,351 of me were built. My last operational mission was the 1st of April, 1954. I've got 24 different variants.
Oh, for God's sake.
And my elliptical wing design was borrowed from Junkers.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. You can't make it up. It has to be fact.
Is it or not?
It is a fact, but it's disputed.
Oh, okay.
Okay, question number 4. I have the longest wingspan of any combat aircraft ever built. I have 10 engines in total. I've never fired a shot in combat. And on one of these aircraft, they once carried a nuclear reactor on board. And aircraft number 5, I've flown 4 times. I was made from giant spruce wood. My pilot steered me by the hips. And a piece of... We don't need a demonstration.
Okay, right.
And a piece of me has been to the moon and back.
Oh,
Yeah.
really to the moon, though, not just like.
Genuinely to the moon and back with Neil Armstrong.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's it. That's number 5.
So while you're thinking about those answers, we're going to look at a bit of that F-35 nonsense. Back after this. Boom!
Nice.
Answer time.
That's really cool. Why do they go alongside and then in? Why do they not just approach down the axis of the deck?
Clinky,
well, that's
one for you.
That's one for me. Is that question 6?
Yeah.
No points. No points for this one.
Well, do you know, that's a very good question, because it used to be the case that all they did was come alongside, and it's a safety issue really, so that you haven't got an on vector to the ship when you're decelerating, and then you get under control, stop and then land rather than land and stop. It's always a good way to do it. And you come alongside and land. The US Marine Corps used to, and Harry used to do it slightly differently. They came in on a sort of angle onto the deck. But what the F-35 can do now is something called a ship rolling vertical landing, which does come up the stern of the ship. So, but it's not arrested by an arrestor wire. It just simply does a rolling landing onto the massive flight deck of HMS Queen Elizabeth and Prince of Wales, of course.
At very low speed, presumably very low ground.
It's
ground speed.
It's about a 35 knot overtake on the ship.
Right.
Wow.
It comes to, and then it just comes to a rolling and braking stop. I went to a meeting about that. Oh, look at that!
Oh,
I mean, it's about time we saw something like that, isn't it? That is Great Britain at its best, going around the globe, sending a message.
How many of those were USAF?
Beg your pardon?
How many of those were USAF aircraft?
None of them.
Oh, okay.
Some of them were US.
So it was a mix.
Some of them were US Marine Corps.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Sorry, I'm being facetious. No, they were a mix, and they will be a mix for the first deployment. And John made the point earlier: 48 isn't enough. We need to keep buying these jets and make sure we've got a credible force. I've said that before, I think. But yes, now alongside and land and up the stern.
So, Clinky, can I ask a really controversial question?
Go on then, Mandy.
Because I like
nice to see you, by the way.
Lovely to see you too, my lovely. Basically, a quick question. I get asked all the time on why on earth are we spending so much money on the F-35 when UAVs will do? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there's a place for both, clearly.
Good picture.
And when you say spending so much money, I think when you compare the cost of an F-35 to other aircraft that may be on the market, and when you see what you get both in a pure capability terms out of a single aircraft and the way it's interoperable, not only with UK jets, but as you've just seen on the carrier with US Marine Corps jets, you can go flying with them. Across NATO, it's an incredible force multiplier. So you're actually getting way more bang for your buck out of this aircraft than I think you get out of, like I say, other jets that might be on the market. That picture.
Why would you not use a UAV for the same job?
Well, because I think there are certain missions that a UAV just can't do. You need to have a human in the loop, and I think this gets discussed a load of. I mean, it's been discussed, crikey, since I went on my first ever defence course. But I think there will always be a role to have a human in the loop in a contested airspace where you don't necessarily want your jet transmitting pictures and comms all the way back to base. You need a human in the loop to make those decisions that competent forces have always been proud to make, and you'll have made them in your jet, where you assess the situation either on the ground or in the air, and you make a decision based on what you're seeing, not what an autonomous or AI decision-making machine is going to make that may have unintended consequences.
But
And it's
I completely take your point on that, but I do think, when you talk about UAVs and things like that, and this is one of the conversation and the most I get is when you've still got a human in the loop on UAVs, why are you putting a human's life at risk by putting a pilot over?
So I think the answer, Mandy, and what a lot of people are coming to now is manned-unmanned teaming. So you'll have a human in the loop, but for those missions that you may wish to put something that arguably is slightly more expendable or more palatable for, the voters back home.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see F-35 with maybe a 3-ship of unmanned systems.
Oh, you see, that's
but they're not autonomous. They're being actually, the decision on whether you go in or out is made by a pilot or somebody perhaps a bit further back, or actually flying as a formation. And that formation won't be the sort that you and I used to fly, where you can all see each other. It could be split over, 25, 30 miles.
Yeah.
But that's, I think, the way that that the thought is going now. Manned unmanned teaming is the sort of way ahead.
I think it is fascinating. Sorry, I'm sorry to hijack that, Scotty.
No. This is exactly what this is all about.
Lanka obviously is in development at the moment, which is the Loyal Wingman program, which is obviously that hybrid situation. I think it really does play to that best of both worlds. And whilst there might be a vision in the future that, there's a bunch of UAVs at various altitudes doing their stuff, actually having that human in the loop to actually activate, and make decisions on the spot is critical. It's very tempting to get, as the dog agrees, it's very tempting to, see the Hollywood version of UAV world, but actually the man in the loop and managing that is critical. And what hasn't been gripped yet is we're hoovering up terabytes of information, and the ability to actually transfer that in real time, sift through the beach of data and get the bucket of real insight is not yet there fully. And therefore the ability to have that sweat pilot, nav, whoever at the front end, who's actually able to look at that and make a decision is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
And is this, our bluest sky thinkers are probably Fraser and Steve here, probably. But is this just another version of the discussion that happened when the Phantom was introduced? It doesn't need a gun, we won't need to dogfight anymore. Is it the same sort of thing, which is technology has moved on beyond the older skills?
Well, my sense is that, somebody mentioned force multiplier earlier, and I think it's about battle space management. And if you've got, a manned aircraft with slave drones, you end up controlling much more of the battle space, and the information flow is much better. And I think what you want is that human in the loop. So yeah, it's the use of technology appropriately. But I do think, you don't want autonomous decision-making in those moments that truly matter. And as much as we want to protect human life, and we need to do that, I think that there are ways to do that by leveraging the opportunities for autonomous vehicles that are still slaved to a human brain.
Yeah. I
think it's very mission specific as well, because how do you do QRA, for example, with an autonomous machine? There are so many, and that would be pertinent to the civil. You've got a civil airliner that's lost comms. You don't want an autonomous machine that's going through a set of algorithms and it just might fit and get shot down. That is an absolute time where you want a human in there to do that mission. So just one example.
Part of the problem with AI at the moment is fundamentally at the moment is a stovepipe. Lots of little stovepipes that all think around a set of rules, but they do not have the human mindset, which is way ahead of AI. And again, the problem is you get this public perception that we've got artificial intelligence, there's going to be brains running everything. The reality is they are so niche still. And we're doing some pretty amazing stuff at the moment with the quantum space and development in IBM. But the reality is we're still a long way from the compos mentis capability of the human in the loop, a long way from it. And it's very tempting to get sucked into this, Industry 4.0, fantastic. There's some really great stuff going on. But I think the hybrid position we have of the potential to command assets to go forward whilst actually on station is absolutely critical. And it's problem is the general public gets sucked in so easy to this, and people get swayed by it. And this is why it's so important that we have the right people talking into our politicians to give them the reality when they're making decisions, and why, you know, latest ISDR is going to be very interesting, because what we don't want to see is short-term decisions, because they will have massive long-term effects.
Yeah, agree. And I would use the AI to make production, because, you know, I think what the MOD are looking for now is a more rapid development of capability and introduction of service, and perhaps more or rather shorter service times, so that you can upgrade quickly. So use your AI to make the production quicker and make those decisions faster, get the cut stuff to the front line, and then let them operate with it, I think is...
The Su-37, and the Russians are already doing overlay, and they're effectively giving you that imagery, which allows you, from a relatively low base level of knowledge, to effectively do your wiring on your Su-37.
I just think that, you know, when you look at artificial intelligence outside of the battle space, just in general, what we're seeing is that humans still need to identify the problem. AI can solve the problem because you can use the machine learning and all the intelligence, but it's that human being says, especially in that QRA scenario, right? I've identified the problem. Now give me my options. And I think the AI can do that a lot faster than a human can.
Yeah. Now, talking about humans and non-humans, here we see a human flying and a non-human in the back telling the human where to go. So I use that as because John's not here tonight. John Nichol is a really good friend of mine, and John's not here tonight, so he will understand the banter on that. Yeah. That the non-humans in the back, they've been replaced by AI anyway. So I did that just to give us a bit of a break. Another amazing photo from Jamie, by the way. Jamie, this is an awesome photo. Just quickly tell us where it was before we get the answers from Lyndsay.
That is Loch Glascarnock in Western Scotland. We were going to go to Derwent to do the shop. It was for the 70th anniversary of 617 Squadron. So obviously tornadoes, they were flying tornadoes at the time. They now fly F-35s. And it was a tornado over a dam. And it was a dam that worked for the shop, basically. Derwent, the weather was horrible. We replanned and we went there. And it worked out really well.
It's a stunning shot, I have to say. Absolutely stunning. Just a pity there's a navigator in it. Right, moving on.
The best aviation photographer I have ever met. Honestly, your photos. I mean, I follow you on everything, and honestly, I've been blown away by the quality of your pics over the years.
Incredible.
Just to be clear, though, Mandy, you haven't seen Mark or I's pictures yet, have you?
No.
Okay, no. So what you're doing is you're judging without seeing the full scope. Is that what you said?
Guys, I'm going to have to shoot. I'm really sorry, but can I just say P-38 and am I right?
Well, let's quickly have the answers. Lyndsay, quickly go for the answers before Mandy goes.
Right, number one, U2.
Yes.
Number two,
yes.
Number two is Nola Gay. Number three, Spitfire.
P29. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll accept that, Jamie. Number three is Spitfire.
Yep.
Number four is the Convair B36. B36. Yes. And number five is the Wright Flyer.
Yeah.
Ah, that was easy. How did you do, Mandy?
2.
Oh, maybe you needed enough to help you out. Maybe I should have got John on after all.
I'm pleased I got 2 right. You don't understand. That's like my wrecking skills. I'm well happy with that.
Mandy, it was great to see you at the party. Thanks for coming.
Good to see you all, guys.
We'll see you again next year.
Happy Christmas, Mandy.
Happy Christmas, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Mandy.
Good round. Good round. Good work. Good work.
Oh, that was good work. That was really good work. Lovely to see Mandy as well. Yeah, well, John, I'm surprised you didn't get the B36 and you, Clinky, because actually it was built at the factory at Fort Worth. Did
no, that's awful, John.
Yeah, so
you and I
we need to brush up on our
we need to brush up
Clinky.
on that.
Yeah, so if you go to the Fort Worth Museum, which is at the other side of your facility at that particular airport, they have this massive wheel from one of those aircraft. It is enormous. It's just amazing. Powered by a nuclear reactor. Wow. Lyndsay, let's go for round 2. It's been so much fun.
Yeah,
Is this the picture round?
We're going to go for the picture round. So if you bring it up, Scott.
Here we go.
So what we've got here, we've got 5 aviation-themed movies. So I need the name of the movie. I need the actor who played the kind of role that we're showing. And then for bonus points, the type of aircraft that they flew in the film.
Right. So, yes. And I'm recognizing that for the podcast version,
This is
the period of silence that now follows is probably
that's probably not great in the podcast. So we've got
edit that out.
No, you can't. You can
we'll
say
have to edit this round out.
There's another man wearing sunglasses.
There's another man
with a tie. Right.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at furrowed brows.
Yeah.
This is all good.
I'll tell you what, then. I tell you what. Whilst we're doing this, because we have been talking about the F-35 a lot tonight, and it doing this sort of the landing on the carrier thing, why don't we watch some of that?
Yes.
That was short-lived. Yeah,
I mean,
it's all fast jet nonsense. Nobody cares.
Little and often.
Who's going to come in with top left?
Oh,
I got a name, but I have no idea what he flew.
Denzel Washington.
yeah.
Something.
Denzel, but no idea.
So
At least in the Tom Cruise picture, they've got the aeroplane in it.
So I'm going to say it was Flight, wasn't it? It was the one where he crashed it and went upside down. So I know that's the movie.
And it was the MD-80.
Oh.
But with some terrible cockpit scenes.
Yeah.
There were other bits of that movie that I remembered more.
Okay, so I'll run through them. Denzel Washington, Flight, and the MD-80.
Next.
And we had Tom Cruise in American Made with the Aerostar.
An Aerostar, I remember that. Yeah.
Hang on, get one of them to guess the next one.
Like Jeremy Corbyn, this next one.
Tom Hanks.
I know the Chesley one.
Tom Hanks plays Sully. Miracle on the Hudson, wasn't it?
Yep. And that was
Sully.
Sully.
Yeah.
So the bottom right, I think I know the bottom right one, and it was
Arrow, right?
Broken Arrow, wasn't it?
Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
B2. And then the last one was Owen Wilson, and he was in Behind Enemy Lines on the F-18.
That was a shockingly accurate film, wasn't it?
Yeah, again, it missed on its accuracy.
I like the notion of doing like a movie night with a load of aeroplane hits, and we just.
I love watching
It had the most glaring stuff on it. So the guys ejected and they transferred from round canopies to square canopies mid-flight. It's just like fantastic. Let alone all the other stuff.
I love watching
Page 1, isn't it? That's page 1 stuff.
I love watching it shows you a 747 and tells you it's an MD-80.
Say that again, Steve?
I said,
I'm
I love
going to bail out for it, guys, because I have an appointment with a roast.
Oh, really?
I do, yeah. I got back in from a late dog walk and the roast got chucked on, and I've now just been alerted by command and control that we are at full roast readiness.
Well, Fraser, thanks for coming along. Cheers. Merry Christmas to you. And we hope to see you. In fact, I tell you what I am going to do just before you go, if you just hold on for 1 second, because I'm going to have to find it now. You shared with me the most amazing picture earlier. And I'm just going to have to try and pull it out of this whole host of things that I have here.
I'm hopefully flying for the last time on Monday, and at the moment the weather's looking good and the drop zone's open. So the 28th will be the last shot, hopefully.
This is insanely bonkers. Tell us what's going on here.
So for a couple of years now, we've been working on something called extreme relative work. It effectively means that we match the speed of the wingsuit to the speed of a canopy flyer. And what's happened in the last probably 5 years is the canopies have got fast enough now parachutes, that you can fly them at free fall speeds if you're on a wingsuit. So we can fly relative to each other and actually take docks and grips. And it's a very, very surreal experience, because you don't see people under canopy, and it's not a case of doing a flyby, which we've been doing for a while. We're actually flying exactly the same full rate, forward speed, sync rate, everything. And I take grips on this guy who's a teammate I work with. And it's a new start of a new kind of domain within the sport discipline. And it's great fun. And we get about 2 minutes together, because the prep means that he gets out first, deploys his canopy, sets up, runs back to the drop zone. We usually set up about 4 miles out from the drop zone. And then I get out 15 seconds after him. So he's got to stow everything, get it all ready, collapse his slider, get everything going. And then I set up, approach, match his glide rate, make sure I don't get in his burble, approach and take a grip. And then we fly back. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it's the most, after 2,000 jumps when I started doing this, we both landed on the ground and we were like 5-year-olds. It was just so exciting.
And Fraser, you've got overtake on him, and then you've got to get into formation. Presumably, you get one go at that.
No. If I overshoot, I actually will just flare up, and he'll put in 1-3-60. We have a bunch of drills for if we lose it, and we actually fly with Bluetooth biker comms. So we can talk to each other the whole time. And I'm like, I'm coming into approach now. Just maintain your position. Don't do anything. Because, if he changes his leg position even and changes his drag and glide path even slightly, weight shift, because he's loading the canopy at about 3.2 pounds per square feet. So the canopy he's flying there is 62 square feet, which is just insane. And I will then deploy mine afterwards and fly with him. Ironically, he can actually match mine under my normal canopy. So yeah, it's nuts.
So I got to tell you, that's insanely cool, right? I mean, you're the fastest human on the planet, right? 249 miles an hour. You hold altitude records. But how long are you, from the moment you step out of the aircraft, how long until you touch the ground?
So with the wingsuit, if I'm just going for a duration flight, now the latest suit that I've got, I can do 4.5 minutes from normal altitude. Normal altitude is 13.5, 14,000 feet. And that's deploying for me at 3.5, 4,000. I don't tend to hoover it down in case, there are any issues. So yeah, the suits are coming on, but we're kind of reaching a point where I don't think you're going to squeeze too much more out of them. I keep saying that and they keep making tweaks, but the stuff that I've been flying probably for the last 5 years, I can average down to 20 miles an hour for the whole flight. So yeah, it's kind of humbling, but it does work the body. You do feel it afterwards. But I can go to nearby villages 4 miles out, 5 miles out, turn around, fly back. And yeah, it's good fun. And then go back into IT and defense on the Monday.
Fun's not how I describe it. Absolutely bonkers. Fraser, thank you so much for coming.
Absolute pleasure.
Such a great time. And I'm sure we'll see you next year because you've got lots of utterly bonkers stuff, not just bonkers.
Fraser's going to take me with them.
Yeah, you guys are going to have to get down. We've got wing walking going on as well now. So I'm looking to do a formation with an aircraft and potentially a canopy as well. So they've got a couple of very nice wing walking aircraft down there. So yeah.
Sounds like a job for Jamie Hunter to me.
Yeah, that's a really good airplane photographer.
Jimmy can take the photos. I'll watch from the ground.
Yeah.
Well, have a fantastic Christmas, everyone.
Mark can check the insurance policies. Happy Christmas, and
Happy
we'll see you
Christmas,
soon. Bye.
Christmas. Well, there's
Wow.
2 more people I won't be doing.
He's freaking bonkers, isn't he? I mean, that is
Pretty cool.
madness. It's so cool, but you have to have cojones the size of this to do stuff like that.
Did he paint his head? Did he paint his head black for that photo?
It's all to do with reflections. All to do with reflections. We've been going for an hour, and I know that some of you are perhaps more mature. Let's just say that. So, does anyone need to go for a wee? I've got to ask because
It's a valid question, to be fair.
it's a valid question, and we have the possibility of an interlude. So, if anybody needs an interlude, Clinky's gone already. Look, he's
like,
the toilet. I'm
on.
on. His internet's been cut off. He didn't pay the bill. Oh, he's back. Hello, welcome. So I've had a pretty good week this week. Pretty good week.
I have lost everybody. When everyone left.
No, you left. We were all still here.
We're here.
It's like the Navy leave the party early. It's always the same. It's always the same.
Well, he's getting bold on Scott.
You've no idea where I'm going with this, but I've had a pretty good week. Air Force One.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good week with Air Force One, right? So you have 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go for a wee. And I will be timing, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a screen in a minute that's going to show what I've been up to, secret stuff for the last 2 years for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And then we can come back, and it's the last one back to the chair is the lightweight. So are we almost ready?
I'm ready to refill.
Yeah, me too.
Right. Let's go. Go. Stop. What do you think?
Nice.
Yeah.
Like that.
Good one, Scotty.
It's awesome. 2 years in the making that's been, and it's been challenging is the only thing I can say. I noticed we've lost Clinky. He didn't make it back.
Amazing.
I'm sure he would. Yeah,
when you're showing Air Force stuff.
Yeah, we filmed for 2 years. We've been inside the new one and the old one. It's been amazing. It has been an amazing project, and lots of stuff coming on that, hopefully after just before the inauguration. So it comes out on the 18th of January on Nat Geo, and very lucky to be top of the credits when it comes out the back as the producer. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Did you get a chair, Scott? Like one of those like direct chairs. Did you get a chair?
No. In fact, I someone that Steve and I know called Ben Fox was actually the director, and Ben did a lot of work on this. We turned Ben into an av geek over a space of 2 years. He knew very little about airplanes when he started, and was fed up listening about it when we finished. But yeah, it has been a real toil, and hopefully next year when we start on maybe part 2 of this, we'll wait and see. There might be a second part coming, but we'll wait and see how the first part goes.
It's definitely.
Sorry, go on.
It's definitely one of the coolest airplanes in the sky. I mean, when you think about it, what it represents, what goes into it. You had a real inside view to all of it. It's kind of neat, especially because they went from a 200B to the new 8 series. It's got to be pretty impressive.
Mm.
Yeah. The leap in technology is really impressive, actually, and what did it for me? And welcome back, Clinky, from the toilet. It took you a little bit longer to empty the bag, did it? What did it for me was actually that it's not about the machines, and the show is actually about the machines in general. It's about the transformation from a 200, as Steve says, and it's not really a 200. It's a 200 with 300 wings and 400 engines, so it's a bit of a hybrid. But it's transforming that into an 8i, which is a massive leap for the people, and it's all about the people for me. I mean, we meet some amazing people in the documentary. It's only an hour long. We couldn't squeeze everyone in, but there's some amazing people stories about people who've been with the airplane for a very long time, and I've seen a number of presidents go through that airplane, and they've served a number of presidents. And for the first time ever, they actually share some insight into what it's like serving different presidents, which is really cool. It's really cool. It's about the people. But that's been my last 2 years.
Scott, is it true that you could eat off the floor of the hangar?
You genuinely could eat off the floor of the hangar. Yeah, it's such a stunning place. I posted some pictures on Twitter this week when I was allowed to, when that Geo actually announced that it was coming out. And the hangar itself is a stunning place, probably one of the most secure places on Earth. They pride themselves in saying that it's more secure than NORAD. And it's actually, it's not the best place to work if you want to do filming every day, because you got to leave all your stuff in there for the period you're filming, and you can't take any out.
Wow.
Until the end. Yeah, so it's really cool, and it took us something like 9 weeks to get the stills images and the video images back, because every single frame had to be gone through by the security team at the DoD to make sure that we hadn't given any of the real secrets away. But we had full access to the entire airplane, all 3 levels of the 747. They have 3 usable levels, a lower deck, a main deck where everybody is, and then the upper deck where the comms team and the crew stay. And I can categorically tell you, despite what you saw in the Air Force One movie with Harrison Ford, it does not have an escape pod, and it certainly doesn't have a parachute ramp. If it did, it would probably be much easier for them than what they've got. But it's a stunning airplane, and really a privilege to see the people and how they maintain it, and the pride they take in serving the office of the president. And it's not about the individual, it's the office of the president that they serve, and it's really important to them that actually they don't talk about presidents in the way that perhaps you and I were using their surnames. They talk about the office, and it's regardless of who holds that office.
And they got 2 of them, right?
They got 2, yeah, and they'll have 2 747 8Is as well.
What's the status of the new aeroplanes?
Bits.
Okay.
I can't give too much away, Jamie, because if I give too much away, you won't.
I'm teasing some. I'm just teasing something out.
Yeah. So the airplanes have been at. I was very fortunate to be there when the airplane was handed over from Boeing to the Air Force. Quite a simple ceremony. There was only about 4 or 5 people there when actually it was handed over officially. In the Mojave Desert, there was a handshake, a couple of nods, and I was the first person actually to step over the threshold of the airplane after it had been taken over by the Air Force. So a great privilege that I was the first person to step on the VC-25B, as it became then. that literally the second they signed that bit of paper, it went from being a 747-8I to a VC-25B, which is the Air Force designation, obviously, for the Air Force One aircraft, presidential aircraft. It's probably 20 to 30% done. But some of the big stuff was done very early. And you will see that some of the transformation, we've got all of that captured in this film. So it'll be really cool to show people the majority of the transformation. Obviously, the bits you can see. There are lots you can't see, but the bits you can see. And what the inside might look like. It's going to be awesome.
And for Elaine's question here, the how much of it is still a 747 at the end of it? I mean, you said the 200 is a 200 aeroplane, 300 wing, 400 engines, and then presumably the rest of it is all bits and pieces.
It is and it isn't. So the great thing about the existing airplanes is they were specifically built as VC-25As, so they were never 200s. They were built specially in the factory as specific military airplanes. So all of the big holes and some of the challenges that you'll find about the second one in the program is that some of those things that they really need on the airplane, it makes it very challenging because the new airplanes aren't specifically built. These are airplanes that came from somewhere else. I won't give away where they came from. Most people will be able to Google it and find out. But they came from a bankrupt airline. They were out in the Mojave. The current president got a really good deal on this aircraft, which meant that he could get a fixed price on some of the future stuff. But the new airplane, the existing airplanes, the reason they are a bit of a hybrid was it took so long to build them. So they were built as the last 200 airframes almost. And the evolution of the jumbo jet through the 300 and the 400 happened very quickly, actually, whilst these were being built. And actually, they decided to change it. So originally, it was going to have 200 wings, but they decided to change it to 300 wings because they were better at the time. And then whilst we were doing that, the 400 engines started to appear. So they thought, well, why don't we have those engines? And that's why it's ended up being a bit of a hybrid. And interestingly, it has the 400 freighter gear. Which is something that most people don't know because it's quite a heavy airplane. So although it doesn't carry many passengers, about 100 total seats, it's a very, very heavy airplane because it has a lot of other stuff. As President Trump said, a lot of military stuff, which he doesn't talk about. And there's a reason he doesn't talk about it, but we'll move on from that.
And when's the documentary start?
18th of January on Nat Geo, which is on Disney Plus, and it's going to be amazing. Right, let's move on. Lindsay, have we got another quiz round?
One more round.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. I've got to find. There's a picture in this round, isn't there?
Yeah, that's question number 10. So I don't want to.
Hold on.
I only really got that question in there for Mandy, so I'm going to have to text her afterwards and let her see the picture. Okay, so number 1. The 747 was known as the Queen of the Skies, but the man who was known as the King, Elvis, also owned 2 4-engined aircraft. What were they?
This is right up Steve's street.
Steve looks like he's all over.
He's close.
I can get one. The other one might be a challenge. Go on.
Okay, question number 2. So we've had Matt Dearden on talk about the Catalina. What was the longest recorded flight for the Catalina? And for a bonus point, what oceans did it cross?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
So the Catalina that Matt Dearden flies, what was the longest recorded flight? And what oceans, for a bonus point, what oceans did it cross? Okay, question number 3. Alongside the UK, what countries were involved with the initial design and development of the Tornado?
Right at the beginning.
There's 5 other ones. So there's UK plus 5. Okay, question number 4. What animal was hit by Alaskan Airlines Flight 66?
Well, Steve's over that one.
Steve's knows that one as well.
John got very, very into this.
Okay, number 5. Donald Trump became the 3rd US president to be impeached in February. Who were the other 2?
Oh, that's not fair. Steve's got an advantage on this one. He's a local.
Yeah.
I don't know because it's not aviation related, so I'm out.
I'm screwed now.
Okay, number 6. Which private company became the first to launch a rocket into space? Number 7. Which basketball star died in a helicopter crash in January this year?
Very sad.
Number 8. Which tennis player topped the Forbes 2020 magazine for the highest paid athlete?
Oh, that's an easy one.
All right.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry.
Number 9. In which month was the first confirmed case of COVID in the UK?
Ooh.
Which month was the first confirmed COVID case in the UK? Question number 10. Scott, if you could bring up the slide, please. So this police parade showed the strength of force. Which country did these chaps belong to?
I can tell you where it's not. It's certainly not the West Country.
Yeah.
It's second on that Humvee in the front.
Yeah, I've been working out, Steve. The lean diet.
Romantic.
Brilliant.
Right, ready for the answers?
Yeah.
Anyone got any guesses?
So question 1, Elvis's aircraft. Go on,
The
Steve.
Commodore 80 and the Lockheed Jetstar.
Perfect. And for a bonus point, Steve, you know why the Convair 880 was called the 880?
Because it was the fastest 4-jet airliner. No, I don't know. I'm making some shit up.
Because it did 880 feet per second.
Okay, well,
Right.
Oh, right, well.
there's a beautiful design too. It's a gorgeous.
What's it?
Amazing.
Okay,
I got the
question
Jet
number
Star.
2. The Catalina 32 hours was the longest recorded flight.
Gee whiz.
And it spanned Pacific and Indian Ocean.
Got that right.
It was from basically Australia to Ceylon, so Sri Lanka as it is now.
Wow.
Oh.
When the air route open, when Singapore was taken by the Japanese.
Okay, alongside the UK, the 5 other countries that were involved in the initial design of the tornado.
Jamie better get this.
Jamie, go on, give us a...
Go on, Jamie.
I'm struggling with Italy, Germany, France,
Spain, I reckon, Jamie.
Spain, and one other. I don't know the other one.
Netherlands.
Okay, West Germany, yes, Steve. So West Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, Italy, and Canada.
Ooh.
Canada?
Really?
Wow.
Jamie, I think we both need to go back to our
Bailed
history
on that
lessons
one.
there, don't we?
Never would have
Canada were the first to bail, apparently.
Yeah,
And went
surprise.
Okay, so the Alaskan Airlines flight hit a bear on the runway.
If you'd asked me that,
I had a moose.
Who? I mean, that was going to be the next guess, wasn't it? If you didn't think bear, it was going to be a moose. Any guesses on the 2 presidents that have been impeached?
Clinton.
Clinton.
Yeah, Clinton's one.
Scott
Steve.
And what, Scott?
John,
Yes, Johnson.
not Lyndon Johnson. Andrew.
The private company was SpaceX. The basketball star that died was Kobe Bryant. It was Roger Federer who's topped out on the money. January was the first UK confirmed case of COVID.
Oh, was it?
And it was the Egyptian police that I've taken a shining to. No, I haven't.
Honest.
I thought that was the Devon Defence Force.
Exactly what they look like, yeah. Should we have some more Jamie picks?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Now, this one, somebody's got their ass on fire. Jamie, what is
I
this?
thought you
all
said
about?
Devon
Oh.
pick for a minute.
How
That's a
the
cool
hell
shot.
did you take that picture?
Yeah, that was Strike Eagle, Sailor Creek Range out of Mountain Home, and he's clutching a Mark 84 on the underneath. You can see, and I was just about to drop that, but he accelerated away from us as he dropped it. But yeah, in full reheat. I mean, it's just
He's just showing off.
The Strike Eagle is such an incredible aeroplane. It really is. I know it's got 2 people in it, Scott. I know, but it's it's a great aeroplane.
Did you hear that they're bringing a bunch of the KSA Strike Eagles and they're re-winging some U.S. Air Force?
Yeah. That's a program that's going because the F-15Ss that are being upgraded, they need a new wing because they're going to have the flyable wire.
Right.
So
I mean, Jamie, so when you're taking this photo, can you actually hear that noise? Now, I've never flown a fast jet, so I don't know. So if he sticks the burners in there, can you feel that, hear that in the other airplane?
No, I don't think so in a Strike Eagle. In F-15, you tend to wear earplugs as well. So there's quite a bit of with that helmet and you wear earplugs. So no, not maybe a dull rumble, but not really. There is a shot. I don't know if you're going to show it. In terms of feeling something, there's a shot of the EA-18 that I sent you as well, a Growler, and actually,
ta-da!
There you go. So that particular shot, that was taken off the back ramp of a Hercules, a C-130, near China Lake, and he's putting out decoy flares, infrared flares that obviously spoof missiles to go away from the jet and go to the flare. I could feel the heat from the flares.
So
wow.
What's the distance from
I could feel it.
What's
That's a good thing.
from the ramp where you're shooting that shot to the front of the aircraft? How far away are you?
He was a little way away. I mean, a good few jets away, length away from us. But that was actually the Mojave Desert, and it snowed. So we were supposed to fly out of China Lake, but we couldn't get there. It snowed, and there was snow in Mojave on the way. That was about 10 years ago, that shot. But I ended up flying out of Point Magoo in the Herc and getting those shots. And that was great. That was when they just got them as well. So we flew up in the Owens Valley, which is just beautiful up there as well. Beautiful area. I love that area.
I have to admit, I have flown out of Ridgecrest on a number and China Lake on a number of detachments, and that whole area is stunning to fly, even in the Herc. Even in the Herc.
I love that area.
It is amazing. Now, Jimmy, we've got one last photo of yours. I know time is getting short now, and Lyndsay has had to go to the toilet because she held on for too long. But this story...
I haven't moved, by the way. I haven't moved.
No, I had to go. I'm older, with grey hair. This last shot, I have cropped it to make it fit, but it is the most stunning image. And Clinky, don't want you getting excited or anything, but this is amazing.
Oh,
yeah, the top wingtip is in the shot. So
it is. It actually is.
This is done for John and Clinky. This is purely for you.
Thank you.
Actually shot out the back of an Osprey, a V-22 Osprey, would you believe? And it was out of Yuma, and that's one of the US Marine Corps test F-35Bs out of Yuma. And we were going to go to Monument Valley, actually, is what we wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted that golden light. I wanted Monument Valley, and we had a plan to do it. But typically, whenever I go anywhere, they go, the weather was lovely last week. It was great, and this week it's never like this. So, and the weather was dreadful there, but actually locally it was great. And you can see Picacho Peak, which is that place in the background. You can see that from Yuma. And we're like, where are we going to go? And I was like, wondering, I go, what about that place out there? So it was literally, you're just outside the circuit at Yuma, pretty much.
Incredible.
And
What time of day was that, Jamie?
That's the time of day. I mean, the golden hour is the time. The light on the West Coast is just wonderful. And that's the time I wanted to go and do it. And that's getting towards sunset. And the golden light's just fantastic. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to show off the rocks and show the area. It's just a fantastic spot. You can't go wrong. When you've got that kind of stuff in front of you, you can't go wrong. And that's the thing with a photo. It's about the planning. It's about getting it there. And then the actual taking of it is a formality. You can't go wrong with that.
Jamie,
Just a shame you didn't get both wings in it, though.
I know. Sorry.
Jamie, what's been your favourite ever picture that you've taken? What's been the best one or the one that you're most proud of and you think I totally nailed it, apart from the sea carrier?
I was so it's a question I get asked a lot. I don't think there's one shot. I read that. I mean, that 4 ship that we saw, the first one we saw of the F-35, F-22, Rafale and Typhoon, I love that shot. I think I would say I'd go to my favourite jet to fly in, and I would say the F4 Phantom is just such a special jet. I've been lucky. I've flown 4 times in F4s, and that jet, you're just riding along. And it's like, yeah,
not
it's
4
just
times, once.
Well, I've been very lucky. I flew twice with the Luftwaffe and twice with the US Air Force, and it's like you're riding in an anvil. That thing is just such an incredible airplane. So yeah, to fly. It's not great to photograph out of, actually, but you have your own canopy lever, so you can control closing the canopy. It's just, and it's impossible to fly as well. You know, I had to go and I couldn't hold it on speed, height, heading, anything. I was rubbish.
Yeah, that sounds like a normal flight for me, Jimmy, to be honest. I'm just going to interject because we're coming to the end of the hour and a half, and it's been absolutely amazing having everyone on. We've talked about F-35, we've talked about Eagles, we've talked about Jimmy's photos, we talked about that Saab thing, whatever it is. They make cars, don't they, not planes? But I cannot finish a wrap-up of 2020 without watching a video of the last landing of the Queen. Tell me that isn't awesome. But
Scott, I want my t-shirt.
I know. It's been really sad seeing the end of them flying for that airline, but their time was done. And on that note, our time this evening is done. Gentlemen, lady, go on then.
If there's one aviation thing or air show that you want to do in 2021 and you really hope it goes ahead, what is it? Jamie.
Riyadh.
Correct.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Really? Full house for
And
Riyadh.
I'm just sorry we're not going to be on again because I'm looking at your scrolling message that says you'll be back in 2021 with more exciting guests. Is that more exciting guests?
Wow, if the cap fits, Clinky, if the cap fits.
Brilliant.
I'd really like to thank you all for coming on tonight. It has been awesome fun. We've had really great fun doing these shows in 2020, and we're going to do more in 21. We're going to do some live stuff as well. Lyndsay has been planning some amazing live stuff that we're going to do off-site, not in our rooms, hopefully, if we can get out of our rooms, off-site, and something really cool, particularly in February, we hope, and some other stuff towards the end of the year. We might even do some live stuff from Riyadh. Steve and I did some live stuff from there previously for the Av Geeks, and it was amazing fun to do some live stuff at Riyadh. Gentlemen, lady, thank you so much for being on. We wish you an amazing Christmas.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers all. Have a good Christmas.